What's going on, Axie fam? Elijah here, back with another video, and today I've got something new for you, something that I haven't done yet on my YouTube channel, and that is going to be an Origin strategic video on the current team comp that I'm using in the top 200. So here's the deal, I haven't played that much Origin. They reset the ladder. Yesterday I decided to go for it. There's been some adjustments. And I climbed up here in one day with this team comp, which, you know, I'm pretty stoked about. And I feel like I can push for that top 10 or top 1 even potentially. One more thing I should mention is that you guys are probably wondering like, yo, dude, what about Save V2? You have it in your name everywhere. You've been mentioning that you want to revive that game. Well, listen, I do. I would love for V2 to stick around and be this insane competitive game. But at the same time, I want what's best for Axie as well. And I don't necessarily know if they're gonna like keep V2 around. I don't think that's a guarantee just because, you know, we all want it. I know Sky Mavis has a larger vision. I've gotten really upset about this at different times, but I've had time to cool off and think about it and like be open, right? Be experimental. I think it's not fair for me to just play Origin for an hour or two and say like, oh, it's terrible. I have to give it some more time and be a supportive community member because I know this is good for the game, scaling it up. I do think that people jump into this and it's easier to understand and play. And if we can make it very competitive too, then I think it's great for the community. If we can keep V2 around, like, of course, I love V2, right? You guys know that. But that's why I decided to go ahead, find some cool builds, experiment, and make this video. Now, one thing I've learned about an Origin is, for me, the satisfaction so far has come strictly from the deck building, trying to think about like what is the optimal choice of cards, runes, charms, what can I tweak in my team that is going to take it to the next level and make it just a little bit better. And then when you execute, it's not the most complex right now once you have your line, your path to victory, but you do have to be careful. If you make mistakes and slip up here or there and you're playing at the highest level, I feel like your opponent will be able to maximize and beat you out on that small edge. I think that'll get improved even more, hopefully, the in-game competitiveness. But you know, I want to just talk about what this is, right? And as a matter of fact, I'm going to rename this build to Aqua's Be Gone, right? Banish. Aqua's Be Gone is what it's going to be called, but really it is a banish build, okay? And that's going to be something that I think we see more and more in the future. Different types of builds. There's ones that manipulate your opponent's deck. There are summoner builds, which I'm going to be looking at in the future as well. And this specific comp is what I'm calling a banish deck. And here's why. On both of my Aquas, you can notice that they're almost identical with the exception of the ears. I have 3 native cards that have banish in them. So Nemo, Tiny Fan, and Telescope. When I play these, they get removed from my deck. I do not draw them again. So this essentially thins out my deck. The other 3 cards, what I did here as far as my charms go, they all 3 get energy drink, which gives them banish. So when they get played, they get removed from my deck as well. So once I've played all of these cards on an Aqua, then I will no longer draw Aqua cards. Hence the name, Aqua's Be Gone. So my midliner, it's the same story. Telescope, I have Nemo on the ears here and the other Nemo on the tail, all banish cards, and then the 3 that aren't have energy drink M. Now you can see where I'm going with this probably. My backliner is disgusting. He's a triple nut beast, so every time I play Nutcracker, the damage output goes up by 6. By the end of the game, he can easily be upwards of 100 damage, and I have attack buffs on these cards as well, so that they get extra damage. The way that I spread my charms out here, it's actually interesting because at the beginning of this build, I had actually equipped these with pre-order tag, which makes them innate. That means that I start the game with them, and I thought that'd be important so that I could start getting the damage bonus as soon as possible. I've actually changed that since then because what I've realized is that what's almost equally as important with this deck, if not more, is cycling through the Aqua cards as fast as possible. If I draw 2 nut cards in the beginning, I actually don't really get to use my deck as I'd like. You know, if I'm trying to get rid of the Aqua cards, then I'm rarely going to play the Nutcracker cards early, and vice versa. If I draw those 2 every game and play them right away, well then I'm like wasting time on getting rid of some of the Aqua cards. So I figured let me just draw the deck like however I I end up drawing it and go with the RNG as far as that's concerned. So let's just boost this guy's health up a bit so he's stronger in the 1v1, and then do extra damage on all of my Nutcracker cards here. For his charm, this is also the secret sauce, which is Endless Anger. It's a solo, it only works on one Axie. I only have one beast anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and equip it. I get 2 rage at the start of each turn. The way that this plays out is almost every game, by the time I get into the 1v1 situation, or like that narrow, maybe it's like 1 versus 2 and there's 2 of his Axies left, I go into rage mode. I go absolutely ham, and I have a ton of options for my beast because I've banished all my aqua cards, and I can bring on a world of pain with this little cute yellow Axie, and that's what I want to showcase. So this is the composition. The first game I'm actually going to show you was the initial rendition of this build when I was still figuring things out, and I quickly realized that this plant that I bought was nowhere near as good as going into like the double aqua version, but it still made for a pretty sweet game. I'll actually just explain this plant really quickly before I jump into the gameplay. I was trying to do the same thing where you can see I gave it 3 banished cards on Blossom, Goda, and Rosa, okay? And then the other 2 don't have it. Perch, this was weird, and I thought, well, maybe it's good to have this to get rid of like summoner builds, but it's pretty useless for this build, and Beach is also kind of useless being a 2 cost. But what I did there is I gave it energy a drink, which makes it ethereal, so if my turn ends and I don't use this, it gets banished. So this essentially gives me 4 banish cards because I'm almost never going to play Beach, and I'm just like, all right, well, when I draw that, let's just banish it even if I don't use it, which leaves me with Perch and Hot Butt. So it's pretty similar. I do think in the end, though, the double aquas are insane because I have so many 0 costs and banish cards and telescopes and things that like make it happen a lot faster. So that being said, now that you understand my thought process, let's jump into this first game here and we can see how it plays out. One final thing you'll notice is that I still had it where these 2 Nutcracker cards are innate as well. So I hadn't changed my damage bonuses and health completely on this beast yet either. So round 1 here, that's kind of what you'll see. I made it set up so that I'd start getting the damage bonuses right away. I play both Nutcracker cards, and I go ahead and play the Zeal to banish that card on my beast as well. Let's take a look at what that one is. So Zeal, you get to pick a beast card from your draw pile, which you just saw me do. I actually picked the 3rd Nutcracker card, and then this gets banished. So this actually makes my beast hand even thinner, and I'm down to just these 5 high damage cards. Rest of my hand gets discarded, and he's playing like a tanky double aqua up front with a similar idea of the beast on the back line. He throws his damage cards for the most part and doesn't really get to use the clear or the Nemo and saves them, actually holds on to them. He has retain on his clear, which is interesting. For me here, I play Goldfish right away, Blossom, and then Oranda. So I basically use my damage for big energy, but the Blossom I think was also just to kind of like remove that from my hand with the banish. I didn't get to play Rosa, or am I going to here? Oh yeah, I actually have a Nemo. And I play the Nemo, which banishes, Rosa, which banishes, puts this thing to sleep up front. I don't have a choice on where that sleep goes. It just randomly hits somewhere and it went on the front line this time. But as you can see, like look at my hand here. Like I'm already down to, what is this, 11 cards in my deck instead of 18. Okay, so we're thinning very, very quickly. Heading into turn 6, let's take a look at my options here. Yeah, I just figured let's go ahead and like go with the big damage on the 2 cost Fallen card. And then Telescope, that's another banish. We don't get to draw anything with it because my draw pile is empty. And what Telescope does is allows you to pick an aqua card from your draw pile. Doesn't matter. I'm still playing it. I'm banishing everything. That's all I care about here is how small can I make the deck so I can just, by the end game, have all beast cards of insane damage. And we're getting closer. We're turn 7. Notice how we're both gaining 2 rage every turn. He's up to 8 now on this one, which means he's gonna rage before me, which I remember in game I was actually pretty like scared about. And I was thinking, you know, if he gets the damage, then I'm gonna be in really bad shape. Here he uses a bunch of energy regain, gets my aqua down to about half HP. And now I'm gonna go up to 8. So next turn, I'm going into rage mode. I don't have enough to kill his aqua here either, even with these huge Nutcracker cards that do serious damage. I'm gonna play the Lamb as well for more damage than the Imp in this case. And now I know he's gonna go ham and go into ballistic mode where you also gain an extra energy, and then down goes my Aqua. It's going to be big damage to the face of my poor little beast back here on the back line. He also hits me with Fragile, which makes me take more damage. Zeal draws another beast card for him, gets a Nutcracker card for 154 damage, which also leaves me with Bleed, which I guess he has a charm that does that. I might have missed a step here somewhere, but yeah, I think he has a charm that causes bleed there. And that means I take 15 damage every time I play a card. I go into rage mode, but look at my hand. Look at my hand. Look at what we set ourselves up for. This is absolutely insane damage. Now, Imp, a nice little synergy. It costs 0 energy in Fury form. So by the time I hit round 10, I'm in full rage mode. I get the free card here in Imp. I still have 4 energy, and I'm just going to let this one play out. I'm just going to let it play out. I'm not going to say anything. 175. Okay, I'm saying things now because the damage is too big. 168. And look how close this was. And I had an energy left to spare. I take 15 damage, puts me down to 9 HP. The bleed almost kills me, but not quite. And we pull off a huge win. Like, you know, I'm climbing these ranks. I know it doesn't matter right now because it's all just test mode, but I'm having fun for the first time. I think that the tweaks that they've made are starting to add up, and hopefully they can make even more. It's still not V2. It's not the same level of competitiveness, of mind games, of strategy, of like in-game execution, okay? It's got a long way to go, and it might not ever be that, right? I think V2 was like a beautifully unique strategic game that hopefully gets revived in the Builders program at some point. But in the meantime, guys, like I'm all about Axie as a whole. And even though like the V2 thing was upsetting and I don't know what's gonna happen, I'm here to support the community, and I trust like we have the brain power and the you know team of Sky Mavis and everyone in this community to make Origin really great. So I'm gonna try to do that this season, while I also enjoy the potentially last V2 season that we have, and just try to give you guys as much value in my content as possible. This video has been running kind of long now, so I'm actually gonna wrap it up there. But maybe I'll go live and stream with the double Aqua version at a later point so you can see how much faster that one plays in terms of cycling through the deck. And leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys want to see in my next Origin video. And I look forward to experimenting more, climbing these ranks, and making content. All right, love you guys. Catch you in the next one. Peace.